So hello and welcome to another Valorant video. Today we're going to be talking about the best lurking spots for each map. But before we do that, let's quickly talk about what lurking is and what a good lurk is trying to do. So obviously, probably most of you know what a lurk is. It's basically when all of your team are, coalescing towards a certain site, perhaps. Maybe let's say you sent 4 towards a site and you're somewhere else on the map, or the lurker is somewhere else on the map, away from the team, with the idea that they can potentially get free kills, but also potentially get information. For instance, you, as I mentioned, are going towards A, your team's going towards A, and you're, just sitting in this random spot here, and someone comes and rotates, and you kill them, and they're like, oh, why were you sitting there? What are you doing there? Why are you doing that? Well, it's because you can get free kills, and free kills are pretty nice things. Getting kills for free. That's what we like. But also I mentioned information because say you try to push A, say you try, your team is really trying to get on A site, but they just can't, they just can't quite manage to get it in. But let's say you're here, for instance, or maybe pushed up even further. You can hear all the, well, maybe not in this particular spot, but let's say you're here instead, and you can hear the clunk clunk footsteps of 2 players from B side coming towards A. You can hear them. They're thunderfooting it across, going towards the A site. You relay that back to your team, and so what happens is they go, okay, well, we'll go back B, and you go back B and you find that it's a free site, and that was all enabled by the fact that you had a lurker that could tell you the information that those players were doing that. And so with that in mind, let's take a look at the best lurk spots. We won't, hang around too much. I'm not going to waste your time. We're just going to talk about it. So let's start with Ascent. For me, the best lurking spot on Ascent, and again, this will come down to a couple things. One, your likelihood of getting information and those free kills, obviously, is one good part of it. But then secondly, how easy is it to get to that spot, right? Like, the best lurking spot, honestly, maybe it's the back of spawn. It's probably the back of spawn for a lot of maps. If you could get there for free, but you're not going to get there for free. A lot of the time, maybe an Omen ult maybe could, but the rest of the time, it's just not going to happen, right? So you're not going to be able to get to that spot. But I do think for Ascent, one spot in particular that is pretty good for lurking, and is pretty far into the map, is in this area here, this sort of box area of Ascent up the way through mid. Now, you might think that that is really deep in, and obviously, you'll be able to get those kills and that information, if anyone rotating either side, from either side of the spawn through the defenders, which they often will rotate through, thinking it's completely safe, you'll be able to get those free kills, and you'll be able to get a lot of information. There's no way anyone comes past here without you really knowing about it. So you'll get that free information. Obviously, this looks like a very difficult spot to get to, and it's not an easy spot to get to, but I think considering how deep it is into the map, it's actually a lot easier than you might expect. You basically, to get into this portion of the map, will only need to kill 1 person max, and sometimes it'll be 0. But it'll be 1 person max, and you can kill that person depending on where they're playing. If they're playing here, you can kill them from all the way back here, or your teammates can kill them from all the way back here, and the defenders might think nothing of it other than, their teammate has lost a long-range duel. That can genuinely happen, where this person who might be guarding market, they could be down here, or, I see a lot of people get aggressive in this area, particularly if they're playing duelists. They might just die, they might just run out and die, and if that is the case, sneaking up to this area of the map is actually pretty easy, and honestly you can do it without getting a kill sometimes as well, particularly if, say, there's pressure towards B site. This person who might be tasked with guarding this lane might feel that they have to come and help the B site, and so if you can use the different pressure points, or for instance if you're pressuring A site, they might feel that they need to rotate back through here, and you might be back towards actual mid and get a free kill anyway, and then you can sit in that spot either way. I actually don't think it's that difficult to get into the spot, particularly if you're an agent who is good at lurking, agents like Viper or Cypher, or someone who has some kind of smoke that can conceal themselves getting into that area. You'll probably be pretty decent chance of getting into this area, to be honest, and if you can, then trust me, you will win rounds, because I will guarantee that every single round that a defender needs to rotate, they will rotate through the back of spawn. At least one will, and they will always run through this area with their knife out. They are never expecting it, unless you just keep getting there every single round. Obviously, you're probably not going to get there every single round, but I do think you'll be able to do it enough times, particularly with good utility usage, that it probably is worth going for, because it will just win you rounds. Okay, next up, Bind. Bind is a bit of a weird one, of course, because you might notice that there's no map there. The kind of place that we were looking at on Ascent doesn't exist on this map. So where on earth do you lurk on Bind? Because the map is just split in two. So what would I suggest here? Well, unfortunately, there isn't, in my opinion, a great lurking spot if you're going towards A. If your team is attacking towards A. However, if your team is attacking towards B, there is a very good lurking spot, I should say, and that I think is in this corner or in this general area here. But I think in this corner is probably the best spot. Why is this a good corner to have? Well, again, if you use smokes, if you use abilities, you can get to this corner. You know, things like a common Viper wall that you see in pro play looks like that. You know, it goes and it pretty much will do the job for you straight away. And so the reason is to get this control of this kind of spot. And the reason is that obviously if you are attacking B, the rest of your team is, if a defender wants to go through the teleport or if they want to go for a flank, well, that's a free kill. But again, you're in a very pushed up area so that you can probably hear the footsteps of people retreating away from this site as well. It's a very good spot to be in general, and obviously then if your team does manage to plant on B site and your opponents go for a retake, then obviously you can start to sneak behind if you time it well, and there is no way that your opponents will expect you to be all the way in their spawn and have gone around the entire map. And so you'll probably be able to win the round for your team that way as well, because your opponents just won't expect it. So this, I think, in this like corner by lamps, corner by U-Haul is a really good spot to have, because it gives you control over basically 2 of the 3 exit points that defenders can use to get to the other side of the map, and I think that will be very useful for you. Okay, now on to Breeze, and Breeze probably depends on what side of the map you're attacking, but one particular lurk spot that I like, particularly if your team is pushing A, is down here in mid by these boxes. The reason is, again, you will hear the rotates of people coming down elbow or running towards your spawn. You will hear that, no doubt. You will probably get a free kill on anyone coming towards mid doors in this spot. It's a spot that a lot of pro players use. So in the pros, it doesn't work quite as well because everyone expects it. But I'm sure in your ranked games it will, because they won't check it, where you'll just have this free kill on anyone going towards mid doors, which they often will. You know, at least one person, normally a defender, will try and get towards doors, and so you'll get that kill for free. You can also probably just about see if they do come this way, the defender through spawn. You could probably even get maybe another kill on those as well. So you have potential for a lot of different kill angles, and this is a pretty good spot overall. If you're going towards the B site, a lurk up tube can be quite good. I mean, a lurk up tube, no matter what you do, is pretty good, because you can just cause so many threats. If you end up going A site, you can open the door, which is going to cause extra problems for the defenders. You know, obviously if you're taking it slow or whatever, you know, obviously getting this far up in the map, again, you will hear everything, you will have a lot of information. You'll probably get a free kill on anyone playing Nest. You might get a free kill on anyone playing over here as well. You're going to cause a lot of havoc by just lurking up tube in general, so I would say that those are the 2 good spots for Breeze. Okay, moving on to Fracture. You might think that Fracture is a map that doesn't really have a lurking spot, just the way it's designed, right? The sort of 4 lanes for attackers to go to, and the fact that the defenders spawn in mid. And, you know, it seems like a map that lurking wouldn't necessarily be that good on, but there is a good lurking spot, and it's actually underneath B. Again, underneath B, particularly obviously if your team is going towards A, very, very useful. Why is that? Well, again, you'll hear anyone coming across, you know, you'll hear the amount of footsteps of people going across, but more importantly, you'll also hear anyone coming up here and probably down the steps as well if you're tucked into this corner. And if you hear people, you know, going this way or coming down the steps, you can then either kill the person coming down the steps, who probably won't be looking at you, or just move across and kill the person who's going towards the dish side as well, this way. So it's a really good lurking spot that I haven't seen a lot of people use, but honestly would, you know, probably get you again a couple free kills and a lot of information, because they're right on top of you. You can hear people marching right on top of you. Of course you can. And so you know, it's going to be pretty fruitful. And again, you can probably hear people marching back this way, and because defenders will feel so safe within, you know, this area of the map because it's their own spawn, you know, they'll club stomp, you know, they're not going to walk, you know, you're going to hear them 100%. And so I think that this is a spot that potentially can net you multiple kills. You know, you can cause a lot of havoc from being underneath the map. And obviously, this is a super easy point of the map to get to, because all you have to do is walk in here, which, you know, you'll get for free anyway. So very easy to get to, but also can be very, very effective. Okay, on to Haven, and when it comes to Haven, luckily there's a nice big spot in the middle of the map for us that defenders like to rotate with their knife out, and if you can get just here, in this little cubby for B, you'll be doing pretty well for yourself, because as I mentioned, a lot of defenders, and I'm sure you know this too, love running through the back of B with their knife out, whether it's to go from A to C or from C to A, they love doing it, and you'll get free kills from it. And you'll also have a lot of information. You can hear whatever the defenders in Garage are doing. You can hear whatever the defender on B is doing. You can hear the rotations again from both of these sides. So it's just a really, really good spot to have all the information and also definitely get free kills. And it's not that hard to get onto either. You know, I mean, sometimes Sage walls this, and as long as the Sage isn't on top of the wall, you'll probably get there for free, to be honest. But also, you know, if you just put a smoke in there, you'll probably be able to walk up to this spot for free again. So it's really not that difficult to get to this spot. And I would really recommend trying to get to this spot if you do want to go on a lurk, because you will probably find yourself quite a few kills from this position and also quite a bit of information. And then, of course, you can go and cause havoc, right? Like, let's say your team is planning towards A, you get the kill on someone rotating from from C towards A, and then you can, you know, just sneak up, and you know that the defenders are gonna be towards Heaven and in this little corridor here of A link, and you're gonna cause havoc, sorry, by you know, just killing them from a different angle and not being where they're expecting you to be, and you'll probably win the round. Now on to Icebox, and Icebox honestly is probably, I'm not going to say it's necessarily the hardest map to lurk on, but it is a bit weirder and a bit more difficult, and there isn't necessarily as like a great of a spot. Often what you'll want to do is smoke this off. You know, that's pretty much a guarantee in pro games that pretty much every round this will be smoked off, and the reason for that is the two lurk positions that you want to get to, either up tube, which obviously has its own difficulties anyway, or through the smoke, which again has difficulties. These are your two options basically if you want to lurk on this map and have an effective lurk on this map. The map's too big to kind of, you know, aim to go all the way around one site unless your team is playing super slow, unless you really communicate that to them. If that's what you're going to do, you have to really communicate that to them. Going mid, you will be able to find something, but you have to have very good timing. You have to understand what is going on in the game. For instance, let's say you go for a walk through the smoke. You can't do this, you know, whilst your team is milling around here. You know, you just can't. A person will be here and you'll be in an unfavored fight coming out of a smoke and you'll die. So you have to have good time. You have to be aware of the map and what's going on. You have to make sure that no one's pushing down here as well. But you have to have good awareness of what is going on. And so it's when your team is kind of actually entering the site and going onto site, that is when this person will leave. And that is the moment that you come around here and you again will probably get a free kill. This one is less information. There's less information in general on Icebox to be gained because it's just more difficult. But, you know, those are the two spots. Either you want to get up kitchen, which depending on, you know, what exactly is going on might not be that easy. You know, if it's Sage Wall, for instance, obviously you're going to have to wait because destroying all of that Sage Wall probably isn't going to go that well for you, to be honest. They're gonna know that you're there, obviously. So, you know, that's probably not going to be the best course of action unless you tell your team to wait, which, depending on, you know, who is in your team, might or might not happen. But yeah, if you can manage to get up tube, obviously sometimes you can get a kill here of a defender looking out here. That sometimes will happen. Sometimes, you know, there will be defenders in this general area that maybe you could peek out the window and get. But then obviously you can go towards the stairs as well once you're out there, particularly if your team is going towards A. And you will often, you know, find that there is a defender either towards the stairs or just in this general area that you could probably get a free kill on. And then finally, we come to Split. And on Split, I think there's a really good location to be in. Again, that I'm not sure is used to the fullest potential. But that to me is basically in vents and basically in the corner of these vents, depending on which site you're going to. If your team is going towards B, then you probably want to be on this right-hand side corner. If your team's going towards A, then you probably want to be on this left-hand side corner. Because again, defenders will often use this as a rotate. You know, they might have a Sage Wall up, they might have some kind of Viper Wall up or something like that in mid to allow them to rotate. They might just go for it anyway, to be honest, depending on your rank. And so they will often use either way as a quick rotation for them. And obviously, if you're just sitting in vents, then you'll be pretty good. And sometimes defenders, you know, sometimes there will be no defender in vents. So it's quite easy to get to, particularly if, you know, you smoke this off and then you know, put a bit of utility, cipher cage, smoke, whatever it is there, you know, you can walk in here, and even if there is a defender, you'll probably surprise them by walking through. And I guarantee you, even if there is a defender in vents, I guarantee you, if your team starts making noise towards A and there's a defender in vents, they're gonna rotate. They're gonna do this 100%. They're gonna get over there as quick as they can, and that will leave vents free for you. And if you are there and you're a good lurker, then you'll probably be able to get a lot of free kills. Now, the great thing about these spots as well in the back of vents is look at all the information you can gain. You can hear anyone coming down these steps and going towards A site. You can hear someone doing the opposite, right? And coming back, if you're in this corner, you can hear someone doing the opposite and going towards B site. You can hear someone going towards sewer here from A site, A heaven, down A ramp. You can hear someone doing that. You know, there's plenty of information to be gained from these spots because you're in range of a lot of things that defenders won't be aware that you're aware of. And so that will probably give you a nice chance of winning a round as well. And so I do think that this little area in vents isn't always going to be the easiest place to get to, but probably not the hardest either. And if you can get in there, then you'll probably be doing pretty well for yourself, and probably will be, you know, getting some free kills and getting a lot of information. So that was just a quick look at the best lurking spots on the map. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you learned something, and we'll try and use these spots to gain that information and get those free kills, because we love free kills on this game. And yeah, so I hope you all enjoyed it and have a really nice day.